If you want to know how to save money while you're building your model railroad, you're going to want to see this. Did I hear somebody say budget? I'm Tom Kvichak, and this is Tom's Trains and Things. This channel was created to help other modelers who are in need of guidance in pursuing their dream of building a model railroad. And I'm going to give you 10 ways that you could save money while you're building your model railroad. If this is your first time here and you would like to see more videos about building your model railroad, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And while you're at it, ding that bell so you can be notified whenever I have a new video coming out. So let's get started with this right now with number 1. The first way to save money while working on your model railroad is to buy at train shows. You can get a lot of good bargains at train shows, and the earlier you go, the better the bargains that you get. Debbie used to tell me to go to church sales and garage sales and go there a half an hour early and wait in line, and I always wondered why. Well, because you get in there and get with all them people and they fight over all that stuff and get in there and get all the good stuff before everybody else gets it. So that's the first one. Go there early to the train shows. Number 2, you're going to find a lot of things at thrift stores that you never thought that you could use on your model railroad. In fact, about 3 or 4 years ago, I found an entire collection of somebody who must have passed away and their wife just unloaded it at a thrift store. I got about 4 locomotives, a lot of buildings. In fact, some of the buildings are here on my layout. I got all kind of good stuff, really cheap, and not only model railroad related, but tools. I got a tripod, a Bogan tripod. It's worth a couple of $100. I got for $9 at a thrift store because they didn't know the value of it. A lot of times these people at the thrift stores don't know the value of it. Some of them do, some of them don't. And wall warts. You know these wall warts that I've been showing you? Well, if you don't like doing electrical projects and you want to get the wall warts, some of them go as far as categorizing them, put them in little plastic containers according to voltage for 50 cents a piece. So there's your power for your model railroad at thrift stores. Number 3, clearance aisles at your local Hobby Lobby, AC Moore, Joann's, Michael's, any one of those stores, even Walmart. You could get paint. I don't know how many of those little tubes of paint that I got. Some of them I got for as low as 29 cents. They're odd colors, but they still work as far as scenery goes. You can get some really good stuff there. And I always shop there. I get all my paint brushes there. I got a gallon of Elmer's glue for something like 17 bucks at AC Moore. I think it was even less than that. But anyway, at the clearance aisles for these places, and I told you about the Just Plugs, these things here. Okay, I got this one apart right now, but anyway, I got this one for, I think the hub for $3.59. And I got all those LEDs, these things right here, that normally go for $9.99 for $2.59. Number 4, garage sales. You can get a lot of stuff at garage sales. In fact, I got a shovel hanging up on the wall. It's a coal shovel. I got that at a garage sale. The guy didn't even have it out selling it because he had some other stuff selling. I asked him if he had any other railroad related stuff, and he said, sure, I got this, I got that, and I got some other good stuff. And not this one here, you could get tools. I got a lot of these clamps at garage sales from people that didn't want them anymore. I bought an entire N-scale layout that had more turnouts in the boxes that came with the layout than there was on the layout itself, and there was about 20 on the layout itself. I mean, I had over 40 turnouts between what was on the layout and I only paid like $95 for it at a garage sale. So you can find a lot of good stuff at garage sales. Number 5. Now this one you got to be careful with, eBay and Craigslist. You could find some good stuff on both of them, but you have to be very knowledgeable. You have to do your research when you're buying there. Otherwise, you're going to get burnt. You have to know what you're doing. You have to know what you're talking about, and you have to know the products, and you have to read all the little things about the shipping on it also, because a lot of times you can get something real cheap and the shipping will cost you 3 or 4 times what the product cost you. So you have to be aware, but you get some good stuff on there. In fact, if you're looking for projects, electronic projects or anything else on eBay, you could get hundreds of resistors for pennies. I mean, I got on this Just Plug board right here, they have a transistor on there that I looked up, and they were selling them on eBay. Now, it's on a slow boat from China. It takes 2 to 3 weeks to get them, but 100 of those transistors, the SMD versions of them, for $2.68. 100 of them. So you could find some good stuff on there, but you could get burned on there also. So be careful. Number 6, make your own lighting. Just like I said with the Just Plugs. Okay, I bought a lot of stuff at Hobby Lobby on a discount, 60%, 75%, 70% discount at Hobby Lobby. And I figured out how to do it. Buy the parts and you got your instant lighting. Build your own lighting things. I have so many videos out there showing you how to solder, how to use LEDs, how to figure out what resistors to use with LEDs. You can make your own lighting. You can make your own effects with lighting too, that I'm going to go into with Arduino. Number 7, scratch build your buildings. It doesn't take a lot to scratch build. In fact, you could find cheap items all over your house that you could use for scratch building. Vinny Cicito uses 4 sale signs that he gets at Home Depot or Ace Hardware for his styrene projects. And you could do the same thing. Years ago, when people didn't have the supplies, that's how they did it. They found things around the house to build their buildings from. A lot of people just use that stuff to make cutouts for, just to see where the buildings are going to go. But you could even make your buildings out of that cardstock, that heavy cardstock, and draw right on it and make your own buildings out of anything that you could find around the house. Number 8, your scenery. You could make your own scenery. Outside there's dirt, there's trees, there's leaves that you could crunch up in a blender, there's foam that you could use from packing that you get your supplies from and grind it up in a blender and use that as ground cover. There's an unlimited amount of things that you could use for your scenery from stuff that you get around the house. All of my scenery, the base that I used was from cardboard boxes. I just sliced them up and put them together with a hot glue gun, and that made the form for the scenery of my mountains. The plaster cloth. Here's some that I got, the Woodland Scenics plaster cloth that I got at Hobby Lobby for $4.31. But if you can't find it that cheap, you can always use paper towel and diluted plaster of Paris like we used to do 30 years ago when there wasn't any plaster cloth, or the only place that you can get plaster cloth was in a hospital for where they was making the casts. Number 9, buy in bulk. Every piece of roadbed I have on my railroad is 1/4-inch cork underlayment. I bought it in bulk. It comes in 4-foot wide, 80-foot rolls. Now, in here, I don't know if it's anywhere else, but the Home Depot here will only sell it by the roll. But they used to sell it by the foot. And that is a lot better than buying these little strips here. Now, granted, you could bend these a little bit around a curve, once you take these apart. How much do you pay for this compared to buying a whole roll of cork, or just how many feet that you need? I think I did my whole layout with about 25 foot of cork. And you can't tell the difference because you ballast over the stuff anyway. The only time that you could tell the difference is before you put the ground cover down. So buy in bulk. The same thing with your electronic projects. If you're doing any kind of electronic projects on here for LEDs, for transistors, for resistors, buy them in bulk. It's cheaper that way. Number 10, repurpose your items. I have a static grass applicator that I made myself from one of those electronic fly swatters and a little strainer. It cost about $6 altogether. And how much did they cost in the store? $35, $40 for the same thing. That's something, two things that you could repurpose into making one little tool. A lot of modelers use hairspray on their models, especially on the trees, to finalize their things. And what I found is to use the pump type ones instead of the aerosol, because you could use them over. Once you're finished with the hairspray, you could either put alcohol in here or water in here for your scenery, and it has a much finer mist than those spray bottles that you have to pump that you get from the hardware store or from WS. These are much better, a much better spray on them, a finer spray on them. And you can put anything in here. I use them for alcohol and water and diluted glue on here also. A lot of the things I mentioned in here, I just went over real quickly for you, so I could go into better detail in other videos coming up soon about how to do things on a budget. I hope you were able to get some good tips on saving money on your model railroad. This is how I've been doing it for a long time, and I try to save as much money as I can whenever possible on my model railroad. So I think it's a good idea that you could do the same thing. There's a lot of good tips in here that I've given you to save money on your model railroad, and I hope you could save money too. So we'll see you next time.